Sound, a group of vibrations.
From the beginner to the professional, from the novice to the master, from playing and experimenting with things, creating a masterpiece, a creation. These are all the elements of art. And our art on this show is sound. Hi, I'm L.V. Smith, host of the show, Sounds Within. Well, we're about to embark upon a new journey in our show productions. Thanks to Dios Bullion Entertainment, who are on the East Coast, mainly out there in New Jersey and New York. So we're gonna start off with our very first inaugural show where we are going to interview Nana Camille Yarbrough. Let me read you a bit about her bio here. Camille Yarbrough is an award-winning performance artist, author, and cultural activist with a career that spans over 50 years, several continents, countless awards, and accolades in a few generations. Nana Camille has earned legendary status. She continues to inspire audiences today via her local, long-running television show, Ancestor House, via her popular musical CD, also entitled Ancestor House. And by the way, you can see Ancestor House on the YouTube. The world-traveled Chicago native currently resides in New York. For television and film, her credits include various new network specials, soap operas, and original movie Shaft. As an extension of her creative and activist self, Yarbrough turned to writing in the 1970s. Her published works have appeared in the New York Times, the Black Collegian magazine, and the Journal of African Civilization. In 1979, Cornrows, the award-winning groundbreaking family book that Essence magazine called a gem, was published, and later 3 more books followed. The Shimmer Shine Queens, The Little Tree Growing in the Shade, and Tamika and the Wisdom Rings. In contemporary pop culture circles, Nana Camille is known as the singer whose song and vocals were sampled on international mega hit Praise You by techno musician Fatboy Slim. Her first solo musical recording, The Iron Pot Cooker, 1975, is where the hit song Praise You originated. A few other reviews. Billboard magazine, Yarbrough has stylish traces of Nina Simone and Gil Scott-Heron, but her own style of singing and recitation are outstanding. Her songs are all thought-provoking. Spin magazine called Nana Camille a hip-hop foremother. When asked about her longevity and unwavering focus, Yarbrough explains, "Being a griot or storyteller is what I was born to do. I come from a kinship line that was reborn to retell our story. We must tell it to the young, tell it to the old. Everyone grows when our family story is told. The freedom of the African mind depends on us being re-educated about our history and our culture. As a griot, I am charged to do more than share stories, but I must preserve the meaning and the beauty for our culture. That work, with me as the keeper of our culture, transcends time and space. That's why the themes of my books and my music are not bound to my generation. The ancestors ensure that my work has meaning for all ages." And now, ladies and gentlemen, we now present to you Ms. Nana Camille Yarbrough.
Nana is a title, okay, of respect. In traditional cultures in Ghana and some parts of Nigeria, it's used for the royal family or someone who has achieved in the community. But it has to do with uplifting and upholding the culture. I was given that title from two cultures, from Ghana, from the Ga people in Ghana, and from the Asante in Ghana also, but in a different, the Asante people, not the Ga. There are many different groups, Airway and other groups in Ghana. So we have a great educator here. He's an ancestor now. His name is John Henry Clark. And I used to live across the street from him, but met him frequently at the First World Alliance lectures, at City College, and at different places where people gathered to get information. He lived in Ghana with the Ga people. One day I'm coming home and I see a crowd in front of his house, which is across the street from where I used to live on 137th Street. And I stopped, and it was people I knew were there, Professor Jeffries and James Small and other people from City College were there. And I was told that Dr. Clark was being installed by the Ga people as one of their local chiefs. Went in, saw the ritual, was very impressed. That's what I'm used to. And went home and received a call asking me, first telling me, informing me that the Ga people wanted me to be part of Dr. Clark's royal family. And would I accept the position of Queen Mother? This is what they were asking. Now, I had read about what the Queen Mother meant, the responsibility to the community, her involvement. And so it's a male-female thing. Men are Nana, females are Nana. But with the Ga people, it's Na. So since they installed me as Queen Mother to Dr. John Henry Clark, when I went to Ghana with the Asante people, they installed me just as for who I am, okay? And I took the stool of Harriet Tubman. So I'm bringing it close all the time, bringing it close to the African in diaspora. And so I'm Nana. Na for the Ga installment, Nana for the Asante installment. And it's because of my work in the community as a writer, artist, activist. So that is what Nana is. You have to be real, you have to be responsible, and you have to love your people. So that's what they call me. Sometimes they call me doctor, but I prefer Nana. I earned that. I was very young. I was born and raised in Chicago, South Side. And I remember waking up one summer and hearing this music. I learned it was a marching band. In Chicago, they have alleys. Here in New York, they don't have alleys the way they do. That divide the blocks. The alleys come in between the blocks. And there was a vacant lot off the alley. In that vacant lot, every year, the Shriners had their marching band practice. And I'm just a child, and I'm listening to this great marching band. I remember the songs today. Every time I hear it, I think of that waking up in Chicago on one hot summer day and listening to the marching band. So that was the first sounds musically. Of course, it's the sound of your mother and your father and your family and that, but it was musically, it was the sound of a marching band that got my attention. Music. Very important sounds, again. It was the sound, well, let me put it in its position. My father is from Alabama. And Blockton, Alabama, which is near a place called Atmar, Alabama. And every Sunday, he would turn on the radio, and there was a program called Wings Over Jordan. Choir would sing. And one day, I must have been about 4, and I stopped whatever my 4-year-old person was doing, and I listened to this music, which had a certain certain sound to it, the pitch, the tones, and what the people were saying just stopped me. And I had to ask my father, what kind of music is that? And he told me he said, that's our music. He said it was Negro spirituals, that's what they call it. And that's what he was raised on. He was very close because there's another story about his grandmother and spirituals. But that, at that age, was like, to me, a stop sign, a guide. Put a pin in there, Camille, because more is coming in this line. And so the spirituals were what put me on the path of what I'm doing, what I developed as I grew older as an artist. It was that foundation of that sound and the story that I heard in the spirituals. Well, I've lived a long time, so I've had mentors. Many of them are passed on now. One of which I just spoke of recently was Josephine Baker. Going back to Paul Robeson, because when I was growing up, those were the ones. Robeson, and he went through terrible what happened to his career because he was speaking out. Josephine Baker was, as I said, grew up on the south side of Chicago. Very inspirational place in many ways, very difficult, but we had great artists coming there in the community. They lived in the community because they couldn't get in the hotels downtown, so they lived next door. Duke Ellington's people, all of stuff was, it was around. So we would go to the Regal. In New York, there's the Apollo. In Chicago, there was the Regal. And so I went there as often as I could, watching the great artists. And then Josephine Baker, the great artist, came to town. And when you went to the movies, you saw Lena Horne, and she was leaning up against the post and she was singing something. And then when it went south, they'd take her out of the film. If it wasn't that, it was another black person, had to be hot and jazzy and sexy. And I'm saying, well, that's not all of us. We have other parts of us. We're multi-layered human beings. And that's what I was looking for when I saw Miss Baker come on the stage. First, she was a marvelous performer. There's nobody comparable to how she commanded the stage and the audience. And then she was talking about the racial issue, and she said, "America, you're not treating black people right." And I said, "Really? Somebody's up there saying that? Besides Paul Robeson, who they annihilated?" And so she was the first. Then I began to read, and there were many other lives which were inspirational. Today, there are, it's hard. It's just, many of them are not in theater or anything like that. I admire our president today, Barack Obama, and Michelle, his wife. I admire Winnie Mandela. I admire Oprah Winfrey, who's done so much in her way to help to create more justice in the world. Youssou N'Dour from Senegal, who is a griot in the true sense of the word, coming from the continent. The younger people, I like Alicia Keys, who is not only a fine artist, but she has social consciousness. Who else? There are others who just don't come to my mind right now. But there are other young people who are trying to understand. When I was with the Catherine Dunham Company, she was a great artist, started a company, a school, a dance technique, took the company all over the world for 30 some odd years. I was a member for 5 years. Now I've forgotten the point I was going to say is that, in that company I learned a song, many songs. I didn't learn the true meaning of it until recently. I've been out of that company for 40 years, and suddenly that song came back to me. So I know why. It's a Haitian song, and it has to do with, I couldn't find the meaning of it, and I was asking different Haitian people. Then I had to ask an elder. And she told me, we don't even speak that way anymore. It's so old. And I said, really? And I'll tell you what I think it means. The song, first it calls on the deity Nago, and then it says, look at us, no more change. We're moving now. And then there's another verse that says, yes, now it looks like we're really making progress. We're dancing now. And the third part says, it looks like we're having a party now. And the last verse is, yes, but it is a mistake to forget the price you paid to get this far. You understand? And I think that's what we have to keep in our minds. In doing that, we will respect those who came before us, the price they paid to make it possible for us to live at this level right now. And then we will live our lives so that the next generation honors us and that we prepare them. Don't forget the past. Don't forget your history. Don't forget your story. If you do, you're nothing. If I forget my yesterday, I'm not even here. So that is what I'm about. That's my work. That's my job. Usually, I collaborate in thought, conversation. There are people that, we have conversation back and forth about situations, writing, music. That's my collaboration. And then, I go and work things out. I have not collaborated with anyone on lyrics or text of anything. So it's conversation, and that's good because conversation stimulates thought, idea, emotion. There is a great brother politician who was stationed here in Harlem at Abyssinian Baptist Church. And his name was Adam Clayton Powell, Jr. He left us with the words, keep the faith, baby. He accomplished so much as a politician, as a person in the community, as a minister, as a lover of our people and humankind. You're always challenged in life, and it's a growing process. Everything is a class. We're in class, and we're given lessons every day. So how we handle those lessons is vital. One of my nieces called up the other day, and she was in great tears and heartbroken because of her relationships not working out. She's an artist, but she wants to party. And sometimes they conflict. And you have to figure out how to make that separation. And what is valuable to you? Is the party that's more important in your life, or your gifts more important? Discover your gifts. That's what I always tell young people. We all have gifts. And I wish I had my poetry here and I would read it because I can't remember it clearly right now. I don't want to say it and make a mistake. But there's an expression that I use, find your strengths and strengthen them. Find your weaknesses and weaken them. Okay? But you have to be strong. You have to keep the faith in yourself and in humankind. We are here. We have life. It hurts me when people just give up. And you give up when, and someone recently said something which is so true. If you can't have a vision of your tomorrow, you give up today. You have to have a vision of your tomorrow, what the world will be, what you will be. You have to stay involved in life, in people, in living, and discovering. our great Creator gave us the ability to, and it says on the walls in Kemet, in Egypt, on those pyramid walls, much is written. Part of it says, know yourself. If you have to know who you are. You can't be 10, 15 people. You have to be you. Know yourself, and whatever it is, make peace with it. And it also says recreate yourself. Okay. We can do that. If nobody's perfect, so you work on it. And if you've made mistakes, that's okay. You think they're mistakes. If it's something that impacted negatively on you or somebody else, then that was not the thing to do. But you can go back and you can start again to recreate. So know yourself, recreate yourself, and keep the faith. Go to my website, go to Facebook. My Gmail is Camille Yarbrough at gmail.com. Camille Yarbrough at gmail.com. And that should get you or anybody to me. Leave a message, say something, and I'll answer. I'll respond to it. And you can find out what books I have out. Let me tell you one last story. I was doing poetry. Now they call it spoken word or whatever, or rap. But at that time it was just poetry. So there was a show called Not Like It Is. Of course, it was that. I did that too with my book Cornrows. Soul, it was called. Ellis Hazlett was the producer. It was on Channel 13, and I went there and did some poetry. And there was a writer there named Alice Childress, who's written some very fine books. She was an actress also. She heard my work, and about 6 months later, I received a letter from her editor saying, bring in whatever I have, and I brought in a song called, one of the pieces of poetry was lyrics to a song called Cornrows, Cornrowed Hair. And the editor said, can you put this in the form of a book? Story being told by an 8-year-old, and I said, of course I can. I'd never written a book before, but I did. And so the books that I've written, starting with the children's book, was Cornrows, which had to do with our hair of people of African ancestry and the tradition of braiding hair, and it meant more than fashion and all of that. So that was the first children's book. Then it was the Shimmer Shine Queens, dealing with family and bullying and overcoming it. Little Tree Growing in the Shade, which was the same family that was in Cornrows, continuing the story, but it has to do with the origins of our music, very important, especially for our young people. And then the other one was Tamika and the Wisdom Rings. Wow. All of them, I'm so happy about them. But I've been taken into writing children's books, and you can find out how to get those children's books, or my CDs. The Iron Pot Cooker, that was the first one, and the second one is Ancestor House. You can get them at my website and the other places that will be shown, that they will be shown on this video. So you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll be able to get them. I am part of about 2 months ago, the BBC was in the same space. There is a video documentary being done on Nina Simone, coming from England, and I was there interviewed about my relationship. She did, on the stage, she did 3 of my songs. Unfortunately, she didn't get to record them. But that, and there was a young girl coming up in England, a very fine singer, who really is trying to model herself, her professional self, after Nina. So it was bringing us both together. That's what I'm doing there. I'm writing autobiographical material, an autobiographical piece right now, which is very deep, because it goes into being not only the Queen Mother, but there's a spiritual element to all of us, ancestral strength. And that is why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's why when I was 4 years old and I heard the songs of my ancestors, I said, what is that? They drew me in. And so as an old head, which is what my grandmother and her friends called me, she gonna say something. She know things, she see things. That's what they said. They were speaking the truth. So I'm writing autobiographical material and some new songs too. I don't know, by the end of the year I should be finished with the book and the songs. That's what I'm doing now. And I'm grateful to the Creator and my ancestors for giving me that energy and that insight. Thank you. So, my brother, I hope this interview has some meaning and some value to you and your audience. It's important to me that I speak with you and share. So thank you for the invitation to be on your program. I am Nana Camille Yarbrough here in Harlem, New York City, speaking to you way out on the West Coast. Thank you very much.
Elders, we see you walking down the street with work-worn hands and with weary feet. We hear your wisdom lift a child or a crowd from confusion up to standing proud. You've carried us, oh yes, you still inspire, lifting us higher, higher, higher and higher. And every time we think of what you've come through, sweet elders, we're so very proud. Elders, we're so proud of you. Elders, we're so proud, one more time, of you.
Wow. I'm going to be watching that episode quite often, as much as I can. So until then, this is Zell V. Smith for Sounds Within. Stay safe, and I'll see you then.
Walking down the street with work-worn hands and with weary feet, we hear your wisdom lift a child or a crowd from confusion up to standing proud. You've carried